Hey there, junior scientists. Welcome back to LittleLabs. Oh man, am I excited for today's adventure. You're going to want to grab your detective hats for this one because we're about to solve one of the biggest mysteries of all time. We're going to figure out how we know, for sure, that dinosaurs were real. You ready to dive in?
Really think about it. You and I have never seen a real, live T-Rex walking down the street, right? Nope. So how can we be so sure that they were stomping all over our planet millions and millions of years ago? That is an awesome question. And you know what? Every good detective story starts with a really big question just like that.
Well, the answer is they left us clues. Yeah, super special, super old clues called fossils. They're kind of like the puzzle pieces that help us see a picture of a world from long ago. And that is exactly what our investigation is all about today. All right, first things first. To crack this case, we have to know exactly what we're looking for. So what is a fossil, anyway? This is maybe the most important clue in our entire investigation, so listen close. Okay, so a fossil is basically what's left over from a plant or an animal from way back in the past. But, and this is the super cool part, it's not a bone anymore. Over a super long time, it is slowly turned into rock. Isn't that amazing? So when you see a dinosaur fossil, you're actually holding a rock that's perfectly shaped just like a dinosaur bone. So, how can you tell the difference between a regular bone and a fossil? Well, think about a chicken bone from dinner. It feels pretty light, right? And it's kind of white or yellowish. But a fossil? Whoa, it's super heavy, just like a big stone you'd find in your backyard. And it's usually dark, like brown or black, because of all those rock-making minerals that soaked into it for millions of years. Okay, so how does a normal, everyday dinosaur bone turn into an awesome rock fossil? It's definitely not easy. It takes a crazy long time and a very special, top-secret recipe. So are you ready to find out what the secret ingredients are? Let's check them out. So for this recipe to work, everything has to happen in the perfect order. First up, a dinosaur's journey ends, usually somewhere wet, like near a river or a lake. Then, and this is super important, step 2, it has to get buried really fast. We're talking covered in mud or sand before anything can happen to the bones. Then, for millions and millions of years, water full of minerals soaks into the bone, kind of like a sponge. Those minerals fill up all the tiny holes and voila! The bone slowly turns into solid rock. Wow! Talk about patience, right? All right, detectives, you're doing great. We now know what a fossil is, and we've got the secret recipe for how they're made. But a really good investigator knows that dinosaurs left behind all kinds of clues, not just bones. So let's see what other evidence we can dig up to solve this mystery.
Now the most famous clue of all, the one everybody thinks of, is of course a dinosaur bone. A fossilized one, that is. These are the clues that scientists, called paleontologists, use to build those huge, amazing skeletons you see in museums. They tell us exactly how big a dinosaur was and what it looked like.
But what if I told you there are other clues, even more surprising ones, hiding in the rocks? Clues that can tell us how dinosaurs walked, what they had for lunch, and even how they took care of their babies. Any ideas what they might be? Get ready for this! Scientists have found fossilized dinosaur footprints. Yeah, actual footprints turned to stone that show us how they walked. And get this, they've found whole nests with fossilized eggs still inside. And sometimes, if they're super duper lucky, they find a little piece of fossilized skin. But you're not going to believe this last one. They even find fossilized dino poop. No joke! It's got a fancy science name, coprolite, and it is the perfect clue to tell us exactly what that dino ate for dinner. How wild is that? So, who are these real-life dinosaur detectives? The ones who find all these amazing clues? Well, they have a really cool name, paleontologists. And let me tell you, their job is one of the most exciting adventures you could ever imagine. Being a paleontologist takes a lot of patience. First, they have to search in just the right places, where the rocks are from the time of the dinosaurs. And when they find something, they don't just dig it up with a big shovel. No way. They use tiny little tools, like paintbrushes and dentist's picks, to gently brush away the dirt. And for the really big fossils, they wrap them up in a plaster jacket, kind of like the cast a doctor puts on your arm if you break it. This keeps the fossil super safe for the trip to the lab, where they do the final, careful cleaning to show the amazing fossil inside.
Okay, so we've learned how fossils are made, and we've learned how they're found. I think it's time for you to be the detective. Ready for a super fun experiment you can do right at home?
You're gonna love this. First, grab some modeling clay and a small toy, maybe a plastic dinosaur or a seashell. Now press that toy down hard into the clay. When you pull it out, see that shape it left behind? That's called a mold. It's just like the footprint a dinosaur left in the mud millions of years ago. Okay, next step, and make sure you have a grown-up to help with this part. You're gonna mix and pour some plaster of Paris right into that mold. Now you just gotta let it dry completely. And for the grand finale, peel away the clay and you'll have your very own fossil cast. It's a perfect copy of your toy. How cool is that? You just made your own fossil.
And there you have it. That's how we know all about dinosaurs, from all of those incredible clues they left behind in the rocks. It really makes you wonder, though, doesn't it? What other amazing creatures, what other ancient secrets are still hiding deep under our feet right now? Just waiting for a brilliant detective, just like you, to find them.
Case closed, detectives. Awesome job today. Thanks so much for exploring with us here at LittleLabs. If you had fun solving the fossil mystery, do me a favor and hit that like button. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our next big adventure. Oh, and tell us in the comments what you want to discover next time. Always keep asking questions and never stop exploring. See you later, scientists.